All right, in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I learned to pass university and all my classes. The core of this is that you have notes that you can access. So either you take those notes or like I'm going to have this stuff online for you. You can rewatch the videos whenever you want. So you have to have that basis of information. In some of your future classes, you might have to take your own notes and then use those as the start. But this is the step that I'm going to have you guys practicing and using for the style of class that we're going to have. You'll notice on the right side here, I've got short answer multiple choice as its own text document, and I've got long answer list diagrams as its own text document. And simply the goal is watch that video, go through the PowerPoint, whatever is best for you. I suggest watching the video because we kind of do some stuff that isn't in the PowerPoint. And you're going to be creating questions as you go. All right. So the way I did this off of a PowerPoint is I would go slide by slide and write questions about everything I could think of. What I would suggest, since we're doing a video lecture, is watch that video, and whenever you can think of a question, you pause and write a question down. Okay, so I'll give you an example here. I say, what is light? Energy can be released in a variety of ways like heat, light, or sound. Specifically, light is electromagnetic radiation that is visible to us. There's something bolded there. I'm for sure going to make a question about that. And it's going to be a short answer question or something that'll show up in multiple choice. It's not a very big question, right? So I would say, what type of radiation is light? Is light a form of energy? Because we defined here that it is. Okay. So we go to second slide, two basic properties of light. Light is a form of energy. Oh, okay, so ahead of the game on that one. But maybe, since this is called the two basic properties of light, you see a list here, right? List the two basic properties of light. So that's going to go on my long answer list and diagrams for sure. Because as soon as there's numbered points or bulleted points, you probably want to put it into your lists. It's pretty easy to make questions on that. The first law of thermodynamics states, okay, what does the first law of thermodynamics state? And you can maybe follow up, how is this relevant to light? And then we have another bolded thing here. Light is always the result of some other form of energy or reaction. So do we ever create light? It's more of like a true or false. You could say like, do we create light, true or false? And I think that's probably all the questions we can create out of this. Our goal is to basically make questions, enough questions that if we can answer all of them, then we'll know all of the information we need to know. And I think it's a lot better to study off of questions that you've created than it is to study off of notes, because your brain works in a different way when you are answering questions. It also works in a different way when you're creating questions. It's creating little connections that actually will make it easier for you to answer the questions down the road. And there's only so many questions I can create from the information I'm giving to you guys. If you do a really good job on this, you should recognize, or you should have guessed like 80% of the questions that I'm going to put on the test. So let's keep going. Two basic properties of light. The second one is light travels in a straight line from its source. So that's this here. And we didn't go into this in detail. There's an example here, but I said we'll get into this more later. So I probably wouldn't make any questions about that right now. And then we go to EMR. So we can say, what does EMR stand for? Because I know that that's going to be something I need to know, and I might forget. So I'm going to put that question in. I don't know if it'll be on the test, but I figure I need to know what that is. And what types of fields does EMR contain? You'll notice it says both electric and magnetic fields. That will also help me remember it because the name is so kind of on the nose. So here's a good list to put down. List the, what do we have? got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. List the 7 types of EMR. And you'll notice on the chart that we did here, there's a couple more types. I want you guys to know the ones that I list here. However, if you gave me like cosmic rays and radar, I would probably give you marks because it's correct. But these are the ones that I think are the ones we're going to talk about the most, so I listed them there. EMR is classified by its wavelength. So how is EMR classified? Or what characterizes? And then we drew this. So if ever there's a diagram or a drawing, you should be able to recreate that diagram or drawing because it's a pretty easy question to ask. So that's why I've got diagrams in this section. And we can say, draw 3 different wavelength diagrams. One with, I don't know, 100 nanometers of, or one with a wavelength of 100 nanometers, 400 nanometers. Oh, we'll go to the next line. And 1000 nanometers. So that would probably be worth a decent number of marks on a test or something, because it really illustrates that you understand how wavelengths are defined. So the next line is only a very specific wavelength of EMR is visible to humans, about 400 to 700 nanometers. That seems like an important fact to me, so I'm going to put down what is the wavelengths that are visible to humans. Not what is. Glad I don't teach English. The smaller the wavelength, the higher the energy level of the EMR. So how does the wavelength relate to the energy of the electromagnetic radiation? So the smaller the wavelength, the greater the energy, or the longer the wavelength, the lower the energy. Either of those is an acceptable answer to that. Then we discussed a little bit about each type here, and one of the things we talked about in the video was which type of visible light has the smallest wavelength, which has the longest. And then I could also imagine that question being written as which type of visible light has the, let's say, highest energy level. So I think each of those questions could be asked, and they kind of test the same thing, but in a different way. So each of those is probably important to know. And then this, to me, would be kind of easiest to put as a long answer, although you could put it as a short answer. So maybe you say like, actually, no, I would put this on as a long answer just because it's a sizable list, and testing yourself by making it a long answer is going to mean you know the information if it is a short answer. So I would say what, or not what, give an example of how each of the 7 types of EMR can be used. So you would just need one example for each of these, right? And you could do more if you wanted. But since a couple of them only have one, I would say you probably only need to give one. So I've created questions for this entire lecture, and when I go to study these things, what I'm going to be doing is basically having this lecture open, but not looking at it. And I'm going to go through every question. So what type of radiation is light? And I would say, oh, I remember this one. It's electromagnetic radiation. So then I would say, okay, I'm done that one. I know it. No problem. I can move on. Is light a form of energy? I'll say, yeah, it is. And I know that one. I can check my answer using this. This is kind of my answer key, right? And then I get to the third one. What is the first law of thermodynamics state? And I go, oh man, I can't quite remember this one. So what I'm going to do is just put some stars next to that one. I don't know that one. I didn't get it. And then after I put the stars, I go and figure it out. So the first law of thermodynamics states energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. Okay, I got to remember that next time I go through. Then I go to this. How is this relevant to light? I don't know this one either. Well, light is always the result of some other form of energy or reaction. Since light is a form of energy, it has to follow the first law of thermodynamics. So I gotta kind of brush up on the thermodynamics portion. Okay. Do we ever create light? Well, I just learned that, so no. I know that one. What does EMR stand for? I know that. So I go through all these, and I'm gonna figure which ones I know and which ones I don't know. So let's say I remember the first two basic properties. Let's say I don't remember this. Oops. And let's say I don't remember this. So once I've gone through all these questions and marked the ones that I don't know, I'm going to go back through all the questions, but I'm only going to do the ones that I starred. Okay. And I still can't remember what the first law of thermodynamics is. I go and read it and I leave the stars there. How is this relevant to light? Well, now I can figure that one out. So I'm going to take those stars away if I answer it correctly. So you're basically quizzing yourself with these questions. And if you've figured out all the questions that you can from here, you have a really high chance of just kind of hitting all the questions that are going to be tested or going to be assessed. So I'm not going to give you guys like formal tests. I'm going to give you guys like practice tests and quizzes and stuff. But it's all going to be for your learning, not so much for trying to mark you a certain way. But this really, really helps cement information into your head, I've found. Keep in mind this works best for science and it works best for social studies because these two courses are kind of like content based. It doesn't work so well for math and English. It can, for certain parts of those, but in general, I would use this more for science and for social. Okay. Um, Let me know if you have any problems with this stuff or any questions about this style of learning and studying. It took me a while to develop this in university, but it went a long way and I did really, really well with it. And I taught some of my friends how to do it and they did well with it too. So I think it should work for most people. However, we can modify it. If you have any kind of questions about it, you can let me know and we can try and make it work for you. Okay. So hope this works for you guys. Do your best. Let me know if you need a hand and we can set up a meeting on Teams or something. Cheers.